It is said that luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. My name is Tobias and welcome to Australian Hunting Backcountry, a platform where we will focus on all things around hunting in the backcountry, not just in Australia and New Zealand, but everywhere that backcountry hunting is possible. Every hunting trip should be a journey of learning, so join me as we explore gear, tips, techniques, hear lived experiences and discuss the unique places that backcountry hunting can take you. I appreciate you coming along with me as I try to increase our knowledge and help us seek out opportunities so that we might have better luck in the backcountry. For 2025, Australian Hunting Backcountry is proudly partnering with Nature's Perks and Gun Traders Australia. Nature's Perks, your gateway to the outdoors. Lawson and Jesse, the team behind Nature's Perk, are passionate about sharing the joys and benefits of hunting and fishing. They offer a range of membership options which give you opportunities to win amazing gear, learn from the best, experience unforgettable adventures and exclusive member perks. Your membership enters you in regular gear giveaways to win top quality hunting and fishing equipment. You can enhance your skills with their comprehensive hunting education courses available both in person and soon online. Your membership will include exciting draws for guided hunts and fishing charters, creating memories that will last a lifetime. And you can gain access to unique opportunities and experiences that are available only to their members. Join the Nature's Perks community today and unlock a world of outdoor adventures. Visit naturesperks.com.au to learn more and choose the membership that's right for you. Gun Traders Australia is a family-run, secure online platform for firearm enthusiasts across Australia to buy and sell firearm parts and accessories. The guys there are dedicated to fostering a community where responsible firearm ownership is paired with exceptional service and access to premium products and trusted providers. What sets Gun Traders Australia apart is a modern and user-friendly online platform with reliable search filters, making finding what you need even easier. The server is hosted right here in Australia, ensuring fast and reliable access, and a payment portal that is also proudly Australian-based, providing secure transactions without any information stored offshore. Check them out at guntraders.com.au. We are outside at the moment in glorious Queensland June weather. It's about 20 degrees. There's a nice breeze. It's sunny. It's almost a shame that we haven't got some beers here with us, mate. But
I know, it's another beautiful Brisbane day, so I can't complain.
Yeah. All right, welcome to this episode of Australian Hunting Backcountry. And for long-time listeners of the podcast, you will recognise my next guest. He needs very little introduction, but just in case there are people out there who haven't heard of him before, I will get him to introduce himself. Give us a quick rundown on who you are. Tell us about yourself so everybody remembers you.
Yeah, no worries. My name's Jason, also known, I suppose, as Liquid Antler through Instagram and YouTube, and just a keen, passionate hunter, I suppose. That I was originally based in New Zealand and probably been over in Australia now for about 12 years. So I don't know, twice we've been on a few hunts together, and I've hunted a lot in New Zealand, and then also over here in Australia, from Queensland here with the Queensland Reds through New South Wales, and then down in Victoria chasing the sambar. So
yep.
Yeah, that's a pretty quick rundown on me.
Yeah, very good, very good. We are in fact at Liquid Antler HQ. Near the water here. So it's a pretty glorious day. Good day to be out here.
Definitely, and good to catch up again with you, Tobias.
Yes. So not only are you known by Liquid Antler, you've also got another persona going at the moment. Talking about a bit of a journey that started a couple of years ago.
Yeah, definitely. So I also have got a bit of an Instagram page I've started up, which is called My T1D Adventure. So that's just kind of showcasing or kind of highlighting my experiences since I've been diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic. So yeah, about 2 years ago, had my annual bloods done at work and kind of went through that process as we do every year just to see how we're travelling, and I had elevated glucose from my blood test, which was a little bit unusual for when my bloods were taken. So I did the follow-up testing, and yeah, long story short, it's been diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic. So I have talked about it previously on the podcast, but I suppose just a quick rundown. You know, it was a bloody big shock, to be honest. You know, you kind of think the everything you love and kind of enjoy, like my backpack hunting, my trips, my camping, all the things I love, we're going to come to a bit of a crashing end. So, but the reality is, 2 years later, I've really, I suppose, learnt how to manage it, and probably healthier, fitter, and than I have ever been. But yeah, it was a real kind of shock at the start when you go through something like that. It's just like, oh, the world's over, but it's not. Once you actually, it's amazing how quickly you can adapt to something. And yeah, that's been the last 2 years from, kind of been free and no kind of restraints on me. So just been having to be a little bit more prepared. But like I say, I'm fitter, healthier than I have been ever, I think, and still getting out and enjoying what I love, so which is important.
Yeah. I think it was, I really want to commend you for the energy and the effort you put into it, because I remember the first podcast that you and I ever did was on the back of or the first podcast of the show was on a backpack hunt that you and I did. And it was during that you sort of felt that something was a bit off. You struggled a little bit. And then after that was when you got diagnosed.
Yeah.
And I do remember it was a bit of a kick in the guts for you.
Oh, big time. It's a shock when you get news like that. And like you say, that sandbar trip we were doing, just a couple of times it's like, I'm battling here.
Yeah.
But then, like we say in hindsight, it was it was because of the type 1 diabetes. But luckily, I found it early enough. I didn't collapse on you, on the sandbar trip. That could have quite easily happened if my glucose had crashed enough. But yeah, it's been a challenge, but a good challenge at the same time, and feeling good.
Yeah, yep. And you've charged on with your fitness journey and just completed a half marathon.
Yeah, we've actually completed a couple of half marathons. I just did one last Sunday as well, and I suppose it's almost pushed me harder to do things that are a little bit outside my comfort zone. So I've got a 52k ultra coming up in 3 weeks, about 2,000 meters vertical. So that's a bit of a daunting thing for anyone. But then I've still got to manage all my levels for the type 1 diabetes side at the same time. So if anything, it's probably pushed me harder to put myself outside my comfort zone and to say, hey, I've been diagnosed with this chronic disease, but I can still do this, I can still do that, I can still, push myself harder than a lot of people. So, which is cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
It's rewarding.
Yeah, like it would have been easy for you to just, give up and go, oh, well, this is me done sort of thing. I'm, selling all my gear and so forth. But
no chance.
It's done the opposite for you, hasn't it?
No, definitely. That was never going to be part of the equation. It was more just how because I've still got to be smart about it, because at the end of the day, I could, it can be fatal if you don't manage it correctly. So I've realised the importance of being organised, which I wasn't previously, and just being prepared for whatever situation I'm going to put myself into, but doing it in a safe way, but also not limiting myself at all.
Yeah.
So.
And that backpack trip that you, Blake and I did, like that was one of the things that we went through at the start, was getting you to tell us where your kit was, where it was going to be kept in your pack, what to do if you did drop, what things we needed to look for, what we needed to give you,
exactly.
all that sort of thing.
And as long as everyone else is aware of it, I've been very open about it, because it's important. But yeah, you guys had a bit of a rundown of exactly what would happen, what would be the signs of me going downhill, and but that wasn't needed, but you never know, you've got to be prepared.
Yeah, yep. So have you had to give up carbs? Has that been the...
So yeah, there's different ways and different kind of, ways that people try and tackle diabetes. The way I'm doing it is not always kind of the normal, but I'm pretty much on a ketogenic diet. So yeah, pretty much little carbs. However, I'm with my kind of ultra running that I'm trying to do, or my larger running, I'm still having to put some carbs in at times, but overall I'm really minimising my carbs across my diet. So
all right.
And which is helping with my levels, just kind of not, I suppose, less of a roller coaster. You get highs and lows from your carbs or your glucose into your system. I'm just trying to bring that down and be a bit more of a flat line, which is so far going well.
So. All right, very good. So why I wanted to get you back on, not only well, first of all, coming back to that first trip that we did with the first recording, that was actually 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. Do you realise that?
I know, it's crazy.
And in that 2 years, in May this year, I released my 30th episode.
Congratulations. Good on you.
Yeah. So yeah, you were a real sort of catalyst for me to launch this. You and Blake, like I remember we're sitting at that cafe and having that talk, and you should do this, Tobias. And
no, good on you.
Next minute, here we are.
No, good on you. See, because often, you see podcasts kind of come and go. To get up to 30 episodes is, great. Well done. So it takes a lot of work and time. So
it does. Yeah. So it's challenging, but I'm having a lot of fun. So I'm going to keep doing it while I'm having fun.
Good on you. That's the main thing.
Yeah. So one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on is you have just gotten back from a trip in New Zealand, and it's one of your annual jaunts, basically, I understand, where you're over there chasing Sika deer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I am originally from Hamilton, New Zealand, so that's the North Island, and the Sika herd. Well, when I was growing up and through university, we did a lot of hunting, and I suppose one of the main species that we loved targeting were the Sika deer. Mm-hmm. So Sika deer are located in the central North Island. So if everyone knows Lake Taupo, which is the big lake in the centre, if you pretty much go to the south of the lake, you're going to then run into what we call the Kaimanawa and Kaweka State Forest. And that's pretty much the main kind of Sika country of New Zealand. So the Sika deer were introduced there, I think, around the 1905 in the Kaimanawas. And I believe they were a Japanese deer, but they were actually part of the English, some lord's herd. So they actually originated from England, from their herd. Right. And they were released close to Poronui Station, which is quite a famous station on the edge of the Kaimanawa State Forest. So, so like I was saying, the Sika deer, Kaimanawas and Kawekas were a key spot for me hunting, through my university days, and I love it. So I try to make my annual kind of pilgrimage back to Sika country to get in there. Usually, I've got a few spots I love to go, but also check out some new country. So, yeah.
Is the attraction for Sika deer because they're Sika deer, or because of that sort of but initial sort of hunting journey?
No, I think my main reason is, a couple of reasons. The environment they live, the Kaimanawas and Kawekas, I love that country. Right. Yeah. So to kind of put it to picture, it's kind of it's old beech forest, but it does vary. There is beech and there's manuka and there's variable kind of country. So, but the beech forest within the Kaimanawa is just stunning. I love just rolling through there with the big green mossy banks and open country with your large beech trees, and then of course there's the Sika deer on top of that. So for those that haven't hunted Sika or know too much about Sika deer, they're probably like a medium-sized deer, so they're smaller than a red deer. Probably around the same size as a fallow-ish, and they are super sneaky. So super sneaky, but super inquisitive, which is one of the reasons I just love to hunt them. So like a trophy or a mature Sika stag is going to be a 4x4, or what we call an 8-pointer. Yep. So have four points on each antler, and if you look up an 8-point Sika stag, I just think they look, just a majestic animal, and you add that with the Kaimanawas or the Kaweka State Forest, public land. It's great. I really love it. So they're kind of a cross between almost all of the deer species, aren't they? Like they've kind of taken a feature from all of the other deer species, and that's the only way you can describe a Sika. They're an interesting deer, and just some of the natures of the way they are and the way they react while you're hunting them is just very unique, from being quite vocal with their alarm whistle to even their different calls during the rut. And they're just so sneaky. When you think you've got them dialed in, they'll just, next minute, there's a Sika stag behind you just kind of laughing at you. So, those are probably the two main reasons why I love the Sika deer and try to make an effort to get back there each year.
Yeah. Their roar or their call or whatever you want to call it is really quite eerie too. Like if you didn't know what it was and you just got dropped in the middle of the Kaimanawas and it was during the Sika roar, you would be freaking out, wouldn't you? Like,
because they have two main calls. So they got what we call a single call and a territory call. So the territory call is going to usually happen around every 1, 2, 3 hours during the rut so it travels a lot further, so say 400 or 500 meters kind of distance, and I'll try and impersonate that. It won't be very good, but it's more of a and it goes on and on for about 4 or 5 calls. But then once you get closer, or you're into the action, or you've got a hind cycling, that's when they get this single call going. Right. So that's when, if you hear a territory call, then you're often not really going to get that kind of reaction. But once you hear a Sika stag single calling, you know they've got a hind cycling, and that's when all action is going to happen, or hopefully. So, and a single call is more of it doesn't travel as far, but it's very similar kind of sound, but it's just kind of sound. So terrible kind of impersonation, but like you say, you have that happening in the bush. It just gets the heart pumping, and it's pretty exhilarating. So,
when's the best time traditionally to go and hunt them?
Okay, so you have your traditional rut period. So the rut period is usually going to happen roughly, depending on when hinds are cycling and things, anywhere from early April through to early May. So if you're chasing them in the rut when they're going to be vocal, then that's the kind of time frame. They usually say probably around mid-April is going to be your key kind of rut period, but like my hunting this year, it was overall pretty quiet for the rut, but usually around that second week of April through to end of April is usually going to be your key kind of Sika rut.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So for you this year, you already had a trip planned, but then you got a little added bonus as well, didn't you?
Yes. So I was lucky enough to win one of the trips from
the hunting club.
The hunting club, yes, correct. So I won that through Paul and the hunting club there, which was amazing. So that gave me a helicopter trip into one of the private blocks. So what I might do is just give you a quick explanation of how the Sika kind of country works. So you've got the public land, which is the Kaimanawa and Kaweka forest. So for the size of that, I think it's about 350 acres, or 350,000 acres. So for comparison, the Victorian Alpine National Park is about 1.5 million acres. So it's about less than 5 times, the Alpine National Park is about 5 times the size. So the public land is open to anyone to hunt. So they can go in there, get a permit from the Department of Conservation, and that allows you to then hunt in that public land wherever you want. There's no designated ballot areas. There's no, hey, you got to book this certain area or that certain area. You pretty much have free reign to hunt your way through. So my plan this year was to head over and do some public land hunting, but then I also won a private block through the hunting club. So that allowed me to fly into a Maori trust land. So there's also on the fringes and different areas through the Kaimanawas and Kawekas is private land. That's been given back to the Māori people and are managed by trusts. So my plan was to I was allowed to choose a block within that private land, and that's where I was flying in for this year's trip.
Right.
So.
Okay. So the hunt you won, you were able to fly in then to one of the private blocks. Are they roughly the same size, or how big are they sort of?
So they vary in size. So the private blocks are owned by the Māori trusts within that area, but then they are managed by a company called Sika.
Right.
So Sika is the company who has the helicopters, and they're actually the ones that fly you. A lot of this hunting for these private land is all helicopter based. So you rock up to the Sika base, and then they fly you into these private blocks. So they manage the trust blocks on behalf of the owners. So then if you can book through Sika to fly into one of these areas.
Yeah. Okay. And traditionally, in the years gone by, have you used Sika, or have you just done the public land?
I've done both. So depending on where or what Dad's up to and bits and pieces, we either, because the beauty of a private block, of course, is you've got the block to yourself. So like any public hunting, the Kaimanawas and Kawekas do get very busy during that raw period. It is close, probably one of the closest places to Auckland, the largest kind of city in New Zealand. So a lot of hunters do head south to hunt the Sika. They're also quite a very popular deer to hunt in New Zealand. So I suppose a few pros of the private blocks, of course, is you get helicoptered in there, you take all your supplies, and then you've got the block to yourself. However, there is a cost involved in that, which quickly adds up. Especially now, Sika have the monopoly of all the blocks.
Right.
There used to be a few other companies that, say 5 or 6 years ago, that kind of helped keep a little bit of competition, which is a key. So once someone's got monopoly, they can pretty much charge what they want, and if it's still the demand there, then people are willing to pay it. So definitely nice to have the block to yourself, but there is definitely the cost implications. So I was very lucky when I actually won the trip into that private block because it was all paid for.
Yep. Are there huts in there as well, or do you?
Yep.
Or is it a combination, camping and hut?
Yeah. So the private blocks, the majority will have a hut or some kind of shelter in them. Some of them are only just like campsites, but I'd say 80 to 90%, and there's a lot of blocks. I'd have to do a count, but say at a real guess, 50 blocks at a guess across the private land, and 80 to 90% of those would have some kind of hut or shelter. And Sika and the trust are constantly putting money into kind of the upkeep and upgrade of those huts. So you kind of fly in. Like the block that we went into this year was called the Tin Kettle Hut, and they had everything. Like we rocked up there, flew in. They had a 12-volt solar system running. They had like a nice little outhouse area, bunk system, running water. It was a great little setup. But that's probably one of the best huts I've been to, and they vary from that to a basic little bivvy shelter that is quite basic. But they are continuing to put money and time into it, because as you charge that money, people want some kind of facilities, I suppose, to make life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Do you know off the top of your head how much you could expect to pay for a helicopter if someone was trying to plan a trip?
So, a rough idea on prices would be, so of course, the closer you are to the helicopter base, the cheaper it is going to be. So as you work your way out, of course, it gets more expensive. So for a 500 chopper, so that's going to take two people with plenty of gear, 3 people or 4 people with just their packs, is going to be $2,000 to $4,000.
Yeah, right. And that's return?
That's return.
Yeah.
But on top of that, then if you're on a private block, then you'll have that landing fee, and then you'll have to pay a nightly actual accommodation fee as well to be on the land.
Right.
So it all quickly adds up. And then if you're going for a bigger chopper like a squirrel, then the prices increase again. So depending on the party size, the amount of gear you guys are going to take. But if you jump onto the Sika site, it'll give you a pretty good rundown of the costs. And for someone that hasn't hunted the Sika before and has limited time, it is a pretty good option, because it is going to throw you into the heart of Sika country very quickly. You save time on the walking. You can have the block to yourself, and you're going to be in a pretty cool country. While on the other hand, while we jump to the public hunting, there's plenty of access though from road ends. But once again, it's knowing where those areas are. But you can quickly jump on the Department of Conservation website, see where all the public land is, and then work out a bit of a game plan. So the great thing about the Kaimanawas and Kawekas as well is they also have a network of public land huts. So back in the 1960s, 1970s, when the deer numbers got very high, they had to introduce colours into the area like they did throughout a lot of New Zealand. And what they did is, of course, they built these little huts through there. So there's probably 15 to 20 huts in the Kaimanawas, and probably similar to that are all managed by the Department of Conservation, and they're open for anyone to use. So the network of trails and tracks through that area makes it super accessible, and it's pretty magic. So it's it's a bit of it's both options, the public, the private, and both have their pros and cons.
Can you access the private on foot, or do you pretty much need the helicopter?
Pretty much need the helicopter. There's no blocks that I can think of that allow you to walk in. It's kind of the way that Sika manage it. Of course, they get the incentive of flying you in, so they've got their choppers operating, so they're making coin doing that, and they're all located far enough away. Some you could potentially walk in, but they are all Sika. That's the way they manage the blocks, is all helicopter based.
All right. So the trip this year then, so take us through where that started for you, sort of in terms of the preparation and planning and the logistics from this end, because Because you didn't take firearms from here, did you? So
No, so I didn't take any firearms from here. My dad still lives in Hamilton, New Zealand, so I was able to borrow one of his. But the key one, I think we've talked about it before, is this international firearms license. So when you're going over to New Zealand, give yourself plenty of time. I'd say 3-4 months, even 5 months. So give yourself as much time as possible. But yeah, so I applied for an international firearms license, and that took around 3 months for me this time.
is that through the New Zealand Firearm Registry?
It's through it's an organisation, I can't quite remember it's a Māori name, I can't actually remember exactly what it is, but if you just type in international firearms licence, it'll come up online. You put all your details in, it costs you $25 through the online portal, but you have to know a few details. For instance, you need to have flights booked, so you need to know what flight you're coming in on, you're leaving on, your duration of your flight, your duration of your trip, and then you go through all that detail, submit it, and then it's the waiting game. And of course, as your trip gets closer and closer, you start getting a little bit more nervous, and is it coming or when's it coming? But I haven't heard of anyone not hitting the time frame, but it literally can take up to a week or 2 weeks before you're kind of ready to fly out.
Yep.
And then they issue you they confirm that you have been issued a international firearms license, but then you actually collect that when you land in the country.
Yeah, yeah.
So
When I went last year, it was right when they were changing over, when the New Zealand Firearm Registry or whatever it's called now is changing over, and I actually applied 6 months out, and I got to the point where I was emailing them saying, hey, what's happening, because I'm, a month away from landing.
yeah.
And they emailed me back a couple of days later and said, oh yeah, we're getting around to it. It's all good, sort of thing.
Yeah.
They were like super casual about it. And then eventually, like 10 days before I flew out was when I got the email confirmation to say, hey, here it is.
Yeah, it's getting. I'm not sure if they just stagger them. They kind of work out when your trip is, and then kind of prioritise as it gets closer. I'm guessing, but yeah. And I've noticed even over the last, I've been going back to New Zealand under the international firearms license for a while now, and I noticed the questions are getting harder. There's getting more and more questions or additional questions that are actually coming back and asking you once you've submitted it. They want to know more about your itinerary, a lot around your safety, around firearms, even to the extent of asking, how am I going to personally secure my firearm when I'm backpack hunting in the middle of the bush? And they were literally looking for something like locking the gun to the tree in the bush. That's the response they were wanting, which they got for them to be willing to issue it. So it is an easy process. It is getting a little bit more complicated, but $25, you get your license, and then you're fine to use your firearm over there. But then you also need to get a Department of Conservation permit.
Yep. Super
simple process. Once again, online. Just go through the portal, and that just gets emailed straight to you. So,
yeah. And in that, you've got to nominate the areas that you're going to be hunting.
Correct. So if in doubt, select it.
They will let you choose multiples.
Correct.
I when I did mine, I picked like a dozen or something because I didn't know where I was going.
And that's the beauty of it. Just go through, click whatever ones you think you're going to be, and if you're unsure, click it, and then that kind of allows you to hunt on it. There's no cost associated with that. That's a free process. And so you've got your international firearms license, you got your Department of Conservation permit, you're legally fine to hunt any public land that permit covers.
Yeah.
So, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome system they've got over there, and Australia could definitely serve to learn from it a little bit, but we won't get into that part. All right. So then the gear for you. What sort of gear were you taking? What did you identify as being necessary, and were there any big differences in the gear that you might take on a hunt in, say, Victoria, as opposed to a hunt over there?
No, to be honest, if you've hunted the Victorian Alpine National Park or chasing sambar down to New South Wales, then that's pretty much the gear you're going to want. So the Kaimana's and Kawikas can be anything from during the rut. So let's say April to May can be 20 degrees to -5 degrees. So as long as you plan for that, it's going to be fine. But you think of a similar climate to the Vic High Country, and then you're going to be okay. So all my standard gear that I use over here, I took with me over there, and yeah, pretty much just the standard kind of sambar, Victoria kind of setup.
Yep. Yep.
The one thing is the topography is probably not as steep and rocky overall. There is a lot of nice rolling kind of moss country. The one thing I used this year that I haven't used previously is I did a lot of hunting in my trail running shoes.
Right.
So I got rid of the lowers were parked up for the majority of my time, and I was hunting just in my trail running shoes. The reason for that is it was a super dry year this year. We hadn't had a lot of rain, and all the beech leaves pretty much turned to cornflakes. So if you can think of the consistency of cornflakes and trying to hunt your way for deer that are very onto it and very smart, I was finding the trail running shoes are a great little way to hunt and cover country, but be quiet and be a bit more nimble. So that's what I ran this year, which has been a first. But yeah, enjoyed it. So
All right. So other than that, I mean, obviously with your dad over there, that sort of gives you a massive advantage because you've got somewhere to store gear and someone to drive you around, so you didn't have to look at hiring a car. And
yeah, so I'm lucky enough.
I've
actually got a place down in Turini. I love the Sika so much. I've got a little place down there, close, just on the back doorstep of Sika country. So we based ourselves out of there for accommodation. But say you flew into Auckland International Airport, that's probably going to be your first point of call. You don't need a four-wheel drive. You can get away with a two-wheel drive rental if you're going to get to Heli Sika, or if you're going to hunt the road ends. 80% are accessible by a two-wheel drive vehicle. There is some dirt road driving involved, so just make sure that's kind of, I suppose, covered in the rental thing. But the majority of it, it's kind of pretty much get to the road end and then you're walking from there. There isn't a network of roads or trail, like driven vehicle tracks through the commoners and car wickers. It's all on foot. So, so get to Auckland Airport, hire your car, head south. Taupo is your last kind of big place. That's got your hunting and fishing or your Hamels hunting store. So that's got your main areas you can stock up for supplies. Also probably a good place to overnight if you need to. And then from there, it's about a 45-minute drive to the start of the Kaimanawas. So yeah.
All right, welcome to this segment of Friends of the Podcast. And today I'm joined by Steve Towner from Voortrekka. Steve, welcome. Thanks for making the time to join me.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Tobias, for inviting me onto the show.
Yeah, all good. So I know we've had some conversations already about what you are doing. But before we get to that, tell us a bit about yourself to start with.
Yeah, no worries, mate. So I'm an ex-Army major. So I was in the Australian Defence Force for close to 20 years, joining up straight out of high school and went on that journey, served in Iraq and Afghanistan, multiple postings around Australia. So it's funny when I met my wife, when I told her that at the time I was an Army captain, and if we're going to get together, that she needs to be prepared to move a lot. I think we moved 17 times in 20 years. So a lot of moving happened throughout that career. But I was a RAMI officer, so training on looking after all the maintenance and the electrical and mechanical engineering side of things. I went to some first line units, or especially first up, I went to 5-7 RAR, which is a mechanized infantry unit, where I got qualified on some of their mechanized vehicles, being the APC platform. And then I deployed to Iraq with them in my second year of being commissioned. So that was, fairly early on in my career. Then a number of other postings, a lot of other first line units. So 1st Armoured Regiment, 2 Cav Regiment, 2nd 14th Light Horse Regiment. So been to a few of those sort of armoured centric units. And that was where my sort of career panned out to sort of be a bit of a specialist in that armoured and mechanised support, so all the logistics support. Right. And as you go up through the ranks, you sort of move away from your core specific skill set, being RAMI. So I was a workshop commander and looking after recovery and repair and that kind of thing, to more general logistics. So you're, as an OC, officer commanding of a squadron, you then start looking after all the capabilities, so fuel and water and medical support, admin support, storage of equipment, plus the maintenance. So yeah, it's a little bit more involved once you go up through the ranks. Served in Afghanistan in 2013, and I was like an advisor in an advisor role where I went across and was working with a Afghan officer, teaching and helping them, mentor them through their logistics planning and development. Then medically retired back in, I think it was 21, 22, and transitioned to a life on the far south coast of New South Wales. And we bought a farm, and I've been building and doing all those kind of things in my community. Been helping out some of the veteran community here. We established a small veterans group, and we've also, I've been involved in Anzac Days and Remembrance Days ceremonies. So sort of trying to give back a little bit to, the community. Worked in a couple of schools doing some leadership and mentoring and ethics training. And been getting involved in the local football club, passionate Victorian, so I love my AFL. Got to get my daughter sort of involved, and I've been coaching there for the last couple of years. So that's sort of the from when I left school to now. One daughter, 13-year-old. So it's been a bit of a journey over the last 25 years.
Yeah. It doesn't really sound like you're retired, actually. It sounds like you're busier now than you were when you were working.
Yeah, a little bit. The nice thing is that I'm now present a lot more. When you're serving, you're away a lot. So on average, every year I'd be away for maybe 6 months of the year, whether it was training or whether you're doing courses. So I missed out on a lot of my daughter's sort of upbringing. So it's just nice to be present as well and giving back to her and, like I said, in the community. So,
All right. And so in this post retirement sort of thing, you've managed to find some spare time to develop a Voortrekka.
Yes. So it's very exciting. In November last year, a little bit of a sad story to start with, but my wife has been a nurse. She's originally from South Africa, and we could talk about where Voortrekka, the word, comes from, and there's a link there. But we got to a point last year where she was pretty stressed and starting to, need an exit strategy from nursing. And so we started looking at, do you buy a cafe? Do you, try and do some kind of local business? But got a little bit interested in e-commerce. And I think, when you say something out loud, all of a sudden your Facebook picks it up. All of a sudden there was all these e-commerce sort of courses being thrown at me. And the more I looked into it, I realized that maybe that was something that, could work for us, give you some flexibility and potentially, make money from a cool idea or a cool product. So we went down that path of enrolling in a course, or my wife did, but she hasn't really had the time still with her nursing. It's so she's so committed to that I've ended up having to try and take the lead with getting the business running, helping her. So the idea is that someday she could transition from nursing to being in the business full time. So that was sort of where the initial idea was sort of born, was through out of a bit of desperation that we needed to help her. We started coming up with an idea. So the e-commerce journey started, enrolling in a course. So it's almost like a university level marketing, business course. It's quite life changing. The company I joined up with to then learn, and you step right through the ideation of an idea, and how do you solve a problem. So I guess the premise behind a good product is being able to find a problem and then, present a solution to the customer. When I started doing that, they actually challenge you to come up with multiple ideas. It's not just one, come up with 5 ideas and test them. And I ended up landing obviously on this camping bag or camping niche anyway. And I started looking into that. I love camping, being a bit of an outdoors guy from the army. Love our 4-wheel driving and getting away. But what I hate is having a bag that it's like a black hole. You know, you neatly stack everything at the start of any trip, you know, whether even if you're flying internationally or interstate or wherever, but you pack a bag. It's essentially, you know, four walls and an empty bottom.
Yep.
You pack it all in, but you know, as you need things out of there, you end up flipping everything. You know, you go, oh, I need that one pair of socks, and you're going through this black hole trying to find your socks.
Yep.
So I thought there has to be a better way. When my daughter and I would go camping, and much like a lot of your listeners, you know, the hunting and that kind of thing, you get to the site, you usually get changed or you know, go through getting prepared. And the way we would roll into a campsite is that as soon as we got there, my daughter and I would both grab our duffels, put it on our front seat of our car, and at least that's the place you go to all the time to get changed. So, but I wanted a better solution. So we designed this bag that has, you know, a shoe chamber, and it's a waterproof and odor-proof chamber where if you needed to put wet clothes in there as well, it would keep it separate from your dry stuff. I wanted dividers all through it so that I could easily find what I'm looking for. And I did a cool little video the other day where I had my daughter timing me. I had a visor on, and she's like, you know, find socks, and bang, there's my socks.
Yep.
You know, find your jocks, find your t-shirt. So easy. I did the same thing, but with a normal duffel bag, and, you know, it takes you 10, 15 seconds to find that item that you're looking for. So that was the problem that we tried to solve with coming up with the Voortrekka, the Cape bag, just redefining the duffel.
Yeah, rightio. I've seen, I've watched a few of your videos and so forth, and I can see a lot of applications for this for hunters, particularly those that travel. You know, like we just came back from the Northern Territory. Would have been great there because we, you know, had to fly up and then hire a car and that sort of thing. You know, New Zealand, where I was stopping over multiple nights in hotels, and exactly the same thing. You're digging through your bag and you're thinking, I'm sure I packed another pair of clean underwear, you know, and then you can't find them, so you give up. And then a couple of days later, you're digging through looking for something else, and boom, there's the clean underwear, or, you know, things like that. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of my listeners will have had those struggles.
Well, where I see that it applies so well for, you know, the hunter is that, you know, usually you will, you know, arrive at a site in your four-wheel drive, get out, want to get changed into your hunting gear. You know, post-hunt, you come back, you're potentially muddy, dirty, you know, bloody, and you need to get changed again. That's what this bag solves. Everything's there. Everything's laid out. You got your spare shoes. You got your spare clothes. You've got, you know, your toiletry bag that you can rip off if you need to. You get changed. But the other beauty of it is it comes with a laundry bag. Not that the laundry bag's unique or anything like that, but a lot of us don't usually go, oh, we'll have our duffel bag and a laundry bag and capture all our dirty stuff. We always end up finding an old Coles bag or something like that, I'm sure.
Yep.
So this comes with that. And the idea is that as soon as you get to your site, you put that in your footwell. That's where all your wet, dirty clothes go at the end of your hunt. That then gets picked up. You can put it inside the bag in one of the sections, so it keeps whatever other clean clothes you've got, you know, separate. It just gives you that great solution. You know, I really did design this bag for the camper that I am, where it's probably on the back seat of my car as I'm going up the steepest track I can find. And I also didn't want it to become a missile or something loose that could hurt us. So I designed it so that you can strap it down with a seatbelt really easily. Also, when you get into camp, the lid, you know, you don't want to be opening and closing the lid all the time. So again, a simple strap around the lid, around your headrest, keeps it open so you got easy access. So yeah, it's secure, but also that easy access. It's got really good properties for waterproof. I released a cool video the other day where I floated it on my dam. I didn't expect it to float. You know, I haven't built it to be this marine-proof bag, and definitely did, you know, leak a little bit of water in, but the thing floated, you know, and kept everything clean and dry. So I've tried to over-engineer it and make it really suited for all the kind of, you know, people that are listening probably here, and the campers, you know, that I made it for. It suits us perfectly. It helps solve that problem. So.
Yeah. Okay. So the name Voortrekka now obviously has South African origins. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's such a cool story. When my wife and I sat down and tried to come up with our company name, it's really nice that we could link it back to her heritage. But the coolest part about this story is that her great 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 grandmother was an original Voortrekka. So what the Voortrekkers were, they were pioneers, very much like we've all seen the American westerns, where there's pilgrims going across the interior of America, being attacked by Indians on a horse and cart, trying to make it in the world.
Yep.
Well, in South Africa in the early 1800s, exactly the same thing happened. So we had a lot of they had a lot of Dutch immigration coming through the port down at Cape Town, and it was very much controlled by a British sort of oppressive rule at the time. So all the Dutch were getting sick of being kicked around the streets by the British soldiers and decided to get ox and cart and head up through the interior of South Africa and find a new place. So Voortrekka is meaning sort of advancing to adventure or being a pioneer, and that's sort of where our tagline and our heritage link sort of happened with the name. So great that Kim, had her links to her great grandmother, and also that ability to link it back to her heritage in our company name. So yeah, pretty cool story.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. All right. So at the time of recording, so we're right at the start of first week of August. So some exciting news that you shared is that you've just received your first delivery, but there was a small stumbling block.
Yeah, there's been several. I think that's what happens in small business and in e-commerce. We've definitely been fighting, since November to come up with an idea, come up with a good product. So just going back to that, we sort of tested and trialed up to 5 bags from five different suppliers, a couple of different colors, just trying to see what worked and what was good quality. And the cool thing is that I actually twice proved that the best supplier and the best bag was from this one company. So we've gone with the most expensive bag and the best supplier that I could find. So I haven't tried to shortcut and find something that sort of met the budget. I've actually tried to design something that's quite good quality and probably from the best person I could find that could make it. It is from China, but we got them across. But some of those stumbling blocks have been that when I launched, I did a very road campaign. I went against sort of my training and my coach's direct guidance, and I launched this Stripe campaign. So essentially, Stripe is just a payment system. I didn't know how to design a website. I didn't know how to link it all. So what I did was I started this organic approach on social media. So I'd never even had an Instagram or a TikTok or whatever. And so I had to download all that stuff and learn how to do organic media. And I launched back in April this road campaign saying, hey, if you want one of these bags in the future, become an early adopter, put your money down, and we'll produce and deliver you an excellent bag. So I was so fortunate. I had a bunch of really good people from around the country get on board early and say, yep, we like this idea. We want you to push forward with it. So that immediately gave me that validation that I needed. And I made the order. But unfortunately, the order just takes so long to make. It was something like 40 business days in manufacturing for the first round of bags. And then a long delivery process. It's 30 or 40 days to come from China as well. So it's some stumbling blocks there where I've had to really throw myself out there and see if we could validate it, which we did. We've now actually sold out of our first whole first order. So 200 bags sold out on Saturday.
Wow.
Last week. We validated it because we know that people want this bag. We pushed forward. We committed straight away. Within 24 hours, I actually committed to the order. It's taken since April for this order to arrive. But yesterday, happy to announce we had 102 of the 200 bags arrive. So not the whole order. Really exciting. I obviously doing a quality check on a few of the boxes, and they're excellent. Very happy with the product. They're ready to get shipped out. It's just another stumbling block again. We didn't have the boxes delivered. So I created a bespoke individual box for each bag, which I need to send it out in. It's a couple of days delayed. So yeah, it's been hard because we haven't not missed our target. We promised people that they would have it by August. They will have it by August. It's just I wish it was at the start of August, and it might just be in the next week. So
Yeah.
it's exciting, mate.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, that's good to hear. So, I guess, so by the time this recording comes out, hopefully you'll be back up and running again, full steam ahead, and everything will be live. And
the website's really really good. That went live a month ago, and obviously we then continued to sell, which was fantastic. People are getting on board all over the place and checking it out and commenting and getting behind us. That 200 ran out, which is a good problem to have, but bad because I want to have obviously stock to keep giving them to people. I don't want people to have to wait, but we have gone into another pre-sale plan, which is, like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's just people have to be obviously understanding that, we're in production. So we've got another 300 bags in production at the minute that will be finished by the end of August. So some of that timeline is a bit better because we forecasted, but then they go on the slow boat and get across here. So October is our next big delivery period. So we're on pre-sale now. We're trying to pass on some really good savings, and we've got a bit of an offer there. So, and that's just because we're making people wait. So I want to not charge people, like reward people, I guess, for having to wait. So we've got $135 off. And you get a few free items and a promise and my founder's promise, which is that I keep you updated at all times. I try and keep people updated every fortnight on the progress, some behind the scenes photos. So I've just tried to take a real personal approach. I nearly have talked to nearly every customer that I've had so far, whether it's a message or a phone call. I just want to be really approachable and help grow the business for my wife and get it out there for people to really solve that problem of having the easy access to your gear and looking after your gear. So
all right. So what's the ways that people can find you?
So the main way would be through the website voortrekka.com.au. So Voortrekka spelled VOORTREKKA.
Yep.
Little bit different than the original spelling in the Afrikaans, but anyway, it's our take on it. And the other one is Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, even YouTube as well, just under Voortrekka.Australia. So a couple of different ways, and it's been excellent. The support and people getting behind the brand has just been amazing.
Well, Steve, mate, congratulations to you and your wife on your success. It is a great looking bag. I've been very impressed with what I'm seeing. So I hope it's all up and up from here for you.
Well, I need to get one in your hands now, Tobias. So.
I've got a few trips planned coming up later this year and next year, so I'm sure it'll come in handy. Yeah.
We really appreciate you, reaching out to us. Like I said, I think the pairing with, the hunting community is this bag is made for you guys. But obviously all adventurers, campers. I've got a lot of FIFO and even firefighters and search and rescue guys buying it, just to store their gear. So no, I think it has a lot of applications. We do want to expand later on and do more international, like an international design, maybe with some rolling wheels and a handle. But at this stage, we're just going to try and do a couple of different colors and keep expanding and working on, promoting the hero product being the cape. So we love your support, mate.
All right. So take us through the first part of your hunt then.
Yep, so my first one, so once I landed in New Zealand, it was first going to be a public land hunt. So I had the private hunt towards the end of April, but we started off with the public land. And the main trip I did there was with a mate called Jono. So the game plan we'd come up with is we were keen to check out some totally new areas. So I've done a lot of public land hunting with Jono and the Kaimanawas and car workers, and we were just keen to try somewhere else. So we've done what everyone does is, got the Google Earth up, got the Department of Conservation topography maps up, and thought, okay, where can we push Just trying to get out of the way of other people and, explore some new areas. So we kind of worked out our area and got our old supplies, went in for 5 days and got to our road end. And so the Kaimana, was like I was saying before, can be very busy, especially this time of the year. And there were a number of cars at the end of the road. So there isn't any regulation, of course, in New Zealand to wear blaze orange, but just probably one thing to add in, I'd always recommend blaze orange, especially through the rut, and especially in the Kaimanas and Kawe, because if you think you're going to go somewhere and you think you're going to be in the middle of nowhere, the chances are you could run into another hunter. As anywhere, be prepared for other hunters in the area. So we had our blaze on, got to the road end, and we pretty much spent the first day just covering country. So we just used a network of existing tracks and then kind of ridge lines and leading spurs to get into our main area. And it was a good first day because it's always good when you're going into a new area. It's always interesting to check out the lay of the land and get a feel for it. And we managed to see a couple hinds and we did have a couple stags roaring on the way in. We didn't manage to get onto them or into them, but that was a good sign, because with the Sika, like any deer, I suppose, there's always that, are they going to be roaring? There's always that anticipation. So it's always a good feeling when you get in there and you hear your first, this one was a territory call, so a little bit further away, but we knew they were roaring, so which is always exciting.
Yeah, right. How many Ks did you cover on that first day?
It would have been about 10 to 12 Ks.
Okay.
And it's still steep, but not, it is steep country, but it's not super steep when you think New Zealand. It's 9 to 12 decent Ks, so heavy packs. We had tried to go pretty light on this one, so we knew the weather was going to be good, so we didn't have tents. I was just taking my ultimate fly with me, but we had really tried to reduce the weight of our pack for this trip, just so we could try and cover as many Ks as we could, and actually hunt our way as we walked our way along. So lightweight, stealthy, and still able to kind of hunt our way along. So the first day we got to where we wanted to. However, on the way in, we actually had 2 hunters coming out. Right. So we ran into them. And then they gave us a heads up. There was actually 6 hunters in that kind of general area wanting to go. So that kind of, we realised straight away, hey, we've got to come up with another game plan. So we had already organised, if we thought if that area wasn't going to be too good, or if there were other hunters in, we were versatile just to move. So instead of dropping into a bit of a catchment that we were planning, we ended up hooking further up along a ridge line and just covering more Ks to try and get away from those other hunters. Yeah, right. So, because it is popular, and just because you think you're well off the beaten track, that doesn't mean there's not going to be other people there. So that was pretty much day one, and then the next couple of days it was the same kind of thing. We were just covering big country. We filmed a few deer, and filmed a few hinds. We had a couple of stags come in on us, just little ones, which we tried to film. Sika, so the fun thing with Sika is you never know where they're going to pop up. So the big thing with Sika deer that we find is it's often better. Well, when you start seeing a lot like a lot of deer, is when you see the sign, slow down. So if you're seeing the scrapes, you're seeing the rubs, sit down, roar, and just wait, because it's amazing how far they all travel, and it'll often they'll pop up in front of you in the middle, and you're not expecting it. So, and that happened a couple of times for us. We're kind of lost interest. They have a chin wag next to the Jono, and the next thing, there's a stag right there. We know what's going on. So,
that's a number of times I've sat down somewhere, had a bite to eat, and you just super casual, forget all about hunting and so forth, and then you stand up, and all of a sudden there's a stag behind you watching you or something like that.
Yeah, because with the Sika deer, the main kind of stag's sign that you're looking for is your normal rubs, so you get your tree rubbing, and they have like scrapes, which they kind of do around the perimeter of their area that they're managing or looking after, and they'll be just scrape ground on the ridge lines, leading spurs, and then also they will wallow. So if you find a good area that's wallowing, we always just stop, sit, roar, and wait, and then we'd move on. If we hadn't heard or seen anything after a while, then it'd just be a matter of moving on and just covering country. So yeah, the next couple of days were just pretty much the same thing, just covering country. Didn't run into any hunters, which was great, until the end of the third day, where we actually ended up we're walking right on the edge of last light, trying to get to a new area, and we saw a light in the distance, and ended up popping over there, and there's a whole Sika camp, so a bunch of hunters in there.
Right.
Set up with their camp in there, so we caught up with them, stayed there the night, had a few, talked a few yarns and had a bit of a chat, and then woke up early the next morning and then just off in the opposite direction. We kind of let them know where we were going to go, where they were going to hunt, and yeah, that's the day I had a run-in with a very good 8-point Sika stag. So we'd been roaring away, and through some totally new country that we'd never been in before, and corner of our eye, we just saw the Sika stag just walking his way through. No roars, just coming in to see what's going on. Often with Sika deer, they won't roar. They'll just come in, see what's going on, and then as quick as that, they can disappear. But with the stag, it's about 50 metres away, just passing through relatively thick kind of brush, and good 8-point Sika stag, and took my shot. And unfortunately, I had a tree. So it was, we've managed to find exactly where it hit the tree, and I just don't know what happened. It was one of those times where, the heart's going, and I thought, well, here's a crack, a Sika stag, but it wasn't to be. But he managed to run off, and I consoled myself, and that's the nature of hunting, I suppose. Yeah.
So where was the tree in relation to the deer then?
Around halfway, and it wasn't even that big a tree, but I just didn't see it in my scope, and it was it wasn't a super clear shot, but I managed to hit bang on.
Yeah.
So it was very disappointing, but the Sika stag wasn't injured or anything like that, because I literally you could see where the bullet had hit directly into the tree. So.
Yeah. I suppose that's the only consolation, isn't it? There's not a deer out there with part of a bullet lodged in him, or
no, exactly. Like and I was quite relieved to see that. Like, as much as I was stoked, I would have been stoked to take that Sika stag. He's still there, and he'll be there for another year, hopefully. So
next year, yeah. Was that sort of the only interaction you had with a deer?
It was the only one I wanted to shoot. Everything else we'd seen wasn't of interest to us. We were more interested about filming it and that. But this was the one that was actually, we were keen to take. So, and that was on the last evening as well. So then the following day we had to pack up and make our way out. So we had quite a few Ks to do. And the cool thing about the Sika deer is that they squeal when they're alarmed. So you can be hiking away or hunting away, and then all of a sudden you just hear this high pitched squeal. So it's always a pretty exhilarating time, I suppose, when you're hunting them. When you do put them up, because often with deer hunting, it'd be amazing how many deer you push, or you'd never see. But often the Sika will give you just a little hint that, hey, you have put us up. We were here through the vocal squeal. But that was our last day, and we hiked our way out back to the road end, and unfortunately there was no 8-point Sika stag with me.
Okay. Did any of the other hunters you see have success? Yeah,
so they shot a few deer, so they had a bit of luck, and it was good. Always good having a chat around the campfire to hear their stories of what's been happening, and it's good to see.
All right. So if somebody was contemplating going over to chase Sika on public land, then what would be sort of the main tips that you would give them?
Slow down, probably my key. If you start seeing sign, slow down, take your time, stop, sit, look. As hard as it is, you're always keen to keep pushing. But Sika deer, they're going to be very alert. They're going to be very onto you, and kind of expect the unexpected. Always, the key thing with Sika deer, like any deer, is just looking for those little, either ear flicks, tail, just those little things that are out of the ordinary. If you see something that's out of the ordinary, it probably is. So just stop, take your time and look. The kind of, I suppose, the moss and it is noisy hunting at times, especially if you haven't had that rain. So being able to try and be stealthy and work your way through those areas that are showing sign are key. They hear the noise, they're going to be alerted. So normal ones, the wind in your face and all those normal things. But Sika, but you never know because they're so inquisitive. If just because you put something up doesn't mean they won't stop and have a look at you as well at the same time. So they are a very inquisitive deer. You often hear stories with the Sika of, you've spooked one and the next thing because they'll often try and circle and get your wind. So they'll come right around, and next thing they're behind you. And they can move so quickly and quietly. They've done a full 180 around the back of you, and then the next thing they're squealing behind you. So you just never know where they're going to turn up. So, yeah.
All right. And he's hunting them in the raw or the rut, sort of like red deer, where you really have to hunt hinds in the red deer raw because the stags are just quite stupid and let their guard down a bit. So it's normally the hinds that'll bust you and so forth. Are you hunting like that?
Nah, so the Sika stags are a lot smarter than a red stag. But don't get me wrong, if they're worked up and they're on a single call, I've shot deer or Sika stags, 3 meters away from me, coming straight through the bush, they were worked up just like a red stag. But the Sika stags overall, I'd say, are a lot more cagey, unless you can really get them going with that single call. A lot of the time they will often just sneak in to see what's going on and they can just turn and be away from that. So just because you're not hearing a stag, like a red stag roar, doesn't mean there's not stags in the area. So if you've seen the signs, seen the hinds, or seen, there is stags in the area, don't be surprised if they don't roar. But they will come in and see you, so be ready.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. And from there, so you walked out, it was pretty uneventful.
Yeah,
sort of walk out.
It was, but it was a good trip all the same because we've kind of found another area that we liked. There's definitely some good animals in there, so it's kind of given us another spot that we can add to our inventory to check out.
Yeah, now you've educated one.
Exactly. I know. I'll catch up again with him next year, hopefully.
Rightio. So you dumped Jono and then you headed in with your old man on the the Heli Sika one.
So that was a 5-day trip, and that was the block we went to there was called the Tin Kettle block. So with Heli Sika trips, it's slightly different than your public land hunting. So public land hunting, of course, you've got your pack all set up and you're off into the bush. With a chopper trip or a trip you're going to do with Heli Sika, you want to probably make it as easy as for your gear to go into a chopper. Unless you're going to do like a hike out or whatever, we usually use like a duffel bag style. And of course you're taking all your food and booze and whatever else you want to take in there. So just think if you are going to do a chopper trip, what you're packing it in, how easy it is to get in and out of a chopper. So, do you really need your big backpack that is, all your straps and things? Is that really the best option? Or do you have a duffel bag that you can get that's a lot easier just to load into a chopper? Because with the Heli Sika guys, they've got a lot of guys and a lot of crew, like teams coming in and out constantly. So you want to streamline as much as possible. And one of the key ways is just getting your gear down to a reasonable size in decent sized bags, which will help the loading and unloading of the gear. So we had our big duffel bags set up. We had a couple of cardboard boxes full of our food, an esky with for the meat and bits and pieces if we had any, and we got to Heli Sika. So the process with Heli Sika, you get there, and then you have to weigh all yourself plus all your gear, because they need to know exactly the weight and ensure that you're within the tolerance of the machine that you're going in. So first of all you have your weigh-in, and then you just run through a little bit of a safety briefing about the helicopter and bits and pieces, pay your fees. Luckily for this one, it was paid by the hunting club, so that was taken care of. And then you wait your turn. So we got there, and it was a crap morning. There's nothing worse. It's the worst feeling when you head into the hangar, and it's just, you can see the common range, and it's just clagged in, which is often common occurrence. So one thing, of course, if you are booking a private or Heli Sika trip, you're kind of dictated by the weather. If you've got low-lying cloud and things in the area, the chances are you're not going to be going anywhere. So we got to the hangar, We were meant to be on one of the first flights, which is about 8 o'clock in the morning. We were stoked, let's go. Woke up, all clagged in, got to the helicopter pad, and then we had to play the waiting game. So we pretty much spent the day at the hangar thinking we weren't going to get in, which could potentially push us to the next day, which would then decrease our day to 4 days. So because we got that window of time allocated to us, it doesn't mean you get an extension. So it's constant teams or groups booked in. So that's your allocated block or time. If it's weather dependent, then you're But we managed to get in around 3 o'clock that afternoon. So the weather cleared enough to kind of zigzag our way through, and then it was just Dad and I for this trip, and we got dropped off at the Tin Kettle block.
Yep. So what do you do in the hangar then? If you've got to hang out for a day or whatever, do you?
So if it's really bad, you can either go back to Taupo and have a kick back in a cafe there. But we just stopped, and we were just literally chatting to the other guys, the other groups in the hangar, having some coffee and just yarning. So and just looking up out of the hangar every 10 minutes and seeing if the clouds breaking up. So it's it's not the nicest, but it's the nature of of chopper flying. So
all right. And there was there's a specific landing area for the blocks, or can they sort of pretty much? No,
so each block's kind of got their dedicated helipad.
Yep.
So that's where you get dropped off and picked up. So this one here, just a nice big cleared. This block was a mixture of beech forest, manuka, and then open tussock country. So the block was on the fringe of the beech forest. The hut was on the fringe of the beech forest. We got dropped off in the open tussock. And then it was like a 30 metre kind of commute of our gear from where the helipad was to the hut.
Yep. What's some of the safety aspects of going in a helicopter?
Yep. So if you haven't been in a helicopter before, the key things that you never go near the back. Of course, you've got the back rotor blade. So that's a big no-no. Is always you're going to work when you get out of the helicopter or enter a helicopter, always from the front. And just listen to the pilots. The guys, the heli seeker or any pilots are well versed in what to do. But key things are all your loose items, your hat, etc. Either off your head, because it's amazing once that chopper wash goes, how quickly everything gets pulled up. So any loose items. When you're unloading gear, you're not putting gear above your head. You don't. Some of the blocks are a little bit off camber and things. So you're just looking where these rotor blades are, because you're in the chopper, your adrenaline's up a little bit. You're excited to be there. It's just about taking your time as well.
Yep.
Unloading the gear, taking your time, seeing where everything's kind of secured down. Because then once that chopper takes off, it's once again that rotor wash is pretty intense.
Yep.
So.
All right. So, you did you start hunting pretty much straight away that afternoon, or did you settle in a bit at the hut?
So we got all our gear to the hut, and like I say, the hut was amazing. So Dad was very stoked to have a pretty cozy little hut there.
Yep.
By the time we got everything unloaded, it's probably around 4:30, so we're losing light pretty quick. But the beauty of this block is we had both the open tussock country. So Dad and I just got onto a vantage point and just spent the afternoon or the rest of the evening just glassing all the open tussock country. So kind of envisage, from like little guts right at the kind of base of your feet, running down to 2k away, all big open country, and just glassing all that. And we saw zero deer, with all this country. We just thought we were going to be spotting deer for miles, and unfortunately, it wasn't the case.
Yep.
So that was day one, and the temperature definitely got down that night. So it had a bit of a little fireplace in a little kind of covered area, but it was still a pretty cold first night. So
yep. Did you hear any roars that first day?
No, nothing. Super quiet. So a little bit disheartened that first night. Late start, getting into the hills, not spotting deer, no roars. So yeah.
Yep. All right. So the next day.
So next day, Dad and I both, what the game plan was to kind of, because we never hunted this area before, was just to cover country.
Yep.
So I kind of organised a bit of a route that I wanted to do that would kind of give me a good idea of the area without flushing out gullies and bits and pieces, but just trying to get a feel for it and obviously listen for roars. So Dad and I spent the day covering a fair few Ks. So the length of the block, at a guess, would be about 6.5, 7 Ks long by about 5 Ks kind of dimension at a real guess. And yeah, we did a good big loop. We could pretty much use like leading spurs and ridge lines to kind of do a big loop right around the block. And we heard stags, like we heard roaring stags. Only territory calls, so that's your, it's going to travel a fair bit further. But we definitely, there was stags in the area. That day we also had a pretty cool encounter with a spiker. So we were walking down a ridge line, and I'd been roaring, because what I like to do is just cover country, roar, listen, look for signs, stop, and then kind of repeat that. And I've been roaring away, and Dad and I just started walking our way back down, and I saw movement. Oh, here we go, we're on. The stag's coming in, and this bloody little spiker was just coming directly up the ridgeline at us. And yeah, just sat down, got my camera out, filmed him, and he literally just came within about 5 or 6 meters, and literally came right around us, and didn't get our scent until we got up above us on the ridgeline, and then turned around, looked at us, and then he was gone. But it was just a cool encounter with Dad and I, just to see the spiker just cruising through, and not even realising. He knew that we'd been roaring, so he was trying to come in to see what the stag was doing, and it was just us making our way down. So, so yeah, that second day was pretty cool with that encounter, but stag wise, we didn't have any luck. So it was back to the hut, and a couple of cold beers, and got the fire going, and had a good chat with Dad, and kicked back, and some good meals, and it was good. So. And to be honest, Tobias, the next few days we're not that successful either. So we managed to get onto quite a few stags. We've kind of worked out over the next day or two where they were located. So we weren't seeing any deer in that open tussock country, which is a surprise. Like, I think that block, from my impressions, must get a lot of long range pressure, because we just weren't seeing any deer out in the open. We kind of worked out there was a lot of deer on the back end of the block, and steep, gnarly country. So the front side was all quite nice country, but I was having to get down some pretty steep country to chase these stags. And I spent the next 3 days, the rest of the trip, pretty much off that back side, just chasing the deer down there. And they were roaring well, but I just couldn't put it together. So it was tough hunting. The deer were there, but they weren't coming into those single calls. I had a few single calling, but just really held up in the tight stuff, and they were kind of forcing me to work my way down that tight country, and I just couldn't put it together. So it was. I was expecting probably more deer in that block. So of course the risk is, you do pay that money and you do get into the area, and there's no guarantee of shooting a deer. So we hunted it pretty hard over that 5 day, or probably four days. Well, really it was 3 days of solid hunting, because by the time you fly in, 3 days hunting, and then the fly out, which was the next morning. Just wasn't able to make it happen. Well, we could have shot that spiker if you're after a meat animal, but
Okay. So what would have been the ideal trip length for you then for that?
I think 7 days. So if you can, a 7 day trip is pretty much bang on. If you do a fly in, that gives you 5 days full hunting. You can then also get usually a morning hunting on that last day if you want to. 3 days for me is just not enough, especially on a new block. In addition to that spiker, we did probably see 5 hinds, and filmed those, and could have shot a couple of them, but we're only after stags for that trip. So if you plan around the 7 days, the problem was that the window or the time frame that I could choose for the block that I'd won was only allocated for that 5 days. So I was kind of stuck with that one. But 7 days would be my kind of sweet spot.
Okay. Are there restrictions on the number of deer or the type of deer that you can take?
So yes, there are. So depending on where the blocks are, there is restrictions on how many 8-pointers you can shoot. And there is it's on different areas, different kind of rule basis, but there are definitely some restrictions on the number of 8s, and I think even spikers are not allowed to be shot on some of the blocks as well.
Okay.
Just to try and manage the herd. Because what actually happened with the commoners and car week is, it was previously quite a red dominant area, like red deer. So there are red deer through there as well. But the Sika have really kind of pushed all the red deer out of the area, so it is predominantly Sika. So yeah, there is the on top of like the way that the trusts are managing the Sika population, there's also called the Sika Foundation. And what they are, they've been set up to help manage the Sika deer within the public land. So, which is pretty cool. They're actually kind of been seen as a bit of an animal to manage and not just eradicate or control. So between them, Department of Conservation, they've kind of got a way of trying to reduce numbers in the right way to help have a healthy herd. Because a lot of the areas that I've noticed probably have got too many deer in that area. The bush has really taken a beating, and the deer are pretty skinny within some of these areas. So the Sika Foundation are working through of subsidising like trips into the areas to help reduce numbers. Shooting hinds and things to help reduce numbers to give them the better chance of improving some of the areas that have been chewed out.
Right. Okay. Are there guides that work in the area as well?
So the only guides that I know are on the private land, so not the Maori Trust, but like areas like Ngamatea Station. There's a few big stations around the area that border that area,
right,
or border the kaimanos and kawekas, and they do guiding through there. So if that was an option, and they are actually quite reasonable for meat hunts. Once you start going down the trophy stag route, then it quickly adds up. But if you're wanting to do a guided hunt for a meat hunt for Sika deer, don't quote me, but it is. I've seen the prices, and it's actually quite a reasonable number to do that. So
all right. So on the block you're on, how do you know where your boundaries are?
So you get a map that shows you where you are. Plus I always load the GPX file onto my phone. So then I can see exactly where my boundaries are, because there's nothing worse, because the other blocks are definitely going to have hunters in it, and of course you don't want to encroach into their area. So I have a GPX layout over my Google Maps, and then I can just use that as I need, because it's quite hard to sometimes tell exactly from the paper map exactly where you are. So I like to have that GPX just to see what's going on.
All right. So Heli Sika hook you up with that file? Or?
So you can actually go on, if you go onto the Heli Sika website now, you can go on there and download a GPX file of all their blocks. Then you can load that onto Google Earth, and then you can see exactly the layout of all the private land, all the public land, which is a pretty useful tool to help plan your trip. So that's all on the Heli Sika website.
Right, okay. And so what, actually I meant to ask you this about the public land hunt too, but what app are you using or how are you doing navigation? Is it an app-based
Yes,
thing?
so I'm just using it's called NZ Topo. There's two apps. There's one for the North Island, there's one for the South Island. And I use that pretty much solely now for my hunting. I don't even really use my GPS, to be honest. I've still got a map and compass if I need it. But if you look online and the App Store, New Zealand Topo, North Island, South Island, worth their weight of money, weight in gold. They have all the topographic maps saved on your phone. It plots you up exactly where you are. You can save little icons of where you've seen stags, where you've seen wallows, and that's pretty much what I solely use now.
Okay. And so the file with the boundaries for the tin kettle block, does that overlay onto NZ Topo or?
No, it doesn't. Well, I wasn't able to get it to load. I actually I made sure that before I went on I load my Google Maps for the area I'm going to go, make sure it's cached, or you've got that kind of that topograph, that airborne image saved, and then I use it on there because I just find it runs smoother. I personally haven't. You probably can, but I haven't been able to get it successfully to load up and over the New Zealand Topo app.
Okay, all right. And so that was the app you were using in the public land then,
and private. But if I needed to check, then I'd just jump over to Google Maps just to see where my boundary was. But I was using the NZ Topo for both private and public.
Okay, all right. And you were talking about doing some filming and so forth. So are you looking to release a YouTube video on these?
Yes, I have. So I've got plenty of footage. So in addition to these two trips, I also did a couple other trips for red deer and bits and pieces. So I've got plenty of footage. The it's just the motivation and time to do it. It's just I've been a bit slow with the liquid antler thing recently, but yeah, it's definitely, I've got a lot of footage there that would make a great video. It's just a matter of putting it all together. It's very time consuming, and at the moment I've got so many other little things going on. It's just dropped, on the wayside. But the game plan is to get something done in the next 2 or 3 months, all going well. So once I get this running, I've got a big race coming up soon. So once I get that sorted, I'm been playing around with restoring a 303 long branch rifle at the moment. So I've got a little other interests at the moment. So, but yeah, the game plan is to put something together.
Yeah, cool. All right. And so the goal for this trip for you sounds like it was sort of more trophy than anything. Have you shot something that you would consider trophy class before?
No, so I've shot 8-pointers before, 8-point Sika stags,
Yeah.
but nothing. So a Sika trophy is going to be about the 170 Douglas score.
Okay.
That's what's classed as a trophy in the Sika stag species. What was it? My largest 140 something.
Okay.
And the one I saw that I missed, I don't think would have been 170, but it would have been definitely my best Sika. So that's the goal, is to shoot a trophy Sika stag. And yeah, we saw plenty of deer, filmed plenty of deer, but that's what our goal is.
Yeah. So have you shot them before for meat?
Yes.
And how do they eat?
Beautiful. So probably similar to a fallow, but yeah, really nice tasting deer. Rate them highly. Delicious. Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah. Any special sort of preparation or anything, or it's just standard?
Just standard.
Wild game?
Probably the only thing, like I've been saying, some of the areas the deer have been very skinny. So if definitely some of the deer I've shot more recently have been a bit on the skinny side, but if they're a nice healthy animal, it's beautiful. Really good.
Yeah. All right. And what sort of rifle setup, like caliber and scope and all of that sort of thing, would you recommend?
Yep. So the deer, the area that I was hunting, so I had both extremes. I had tight beech forest, so we might be that 50 to 100 metre mark is a lot of the hunting.
Okay.
So any of your standard calibers, I'm running over there a 308 Sarco 75 with a Leupold 3x6x40 scope. So that kind of limited me on the tin kettle with the longer range hunting. So I could tell from different blinds and things I saw there that some guys were taking some big shots. So if you're into the big shots, of course you need the larger caliber and that kind of setup. I'm probably more Sika looking for that up close and personal kind of hunting style. So within that hundreds, it's less than 200 metre kind of mark. But the commoners and car workers offer hunting for everyone. If you're up, if you want that close to that long distance faces, there's plenty of that as well.
Yeah, rightio. And I mean, you guys can use suppressors over there too. Yeah. So do you have access to them?
Yes. So all the rifles we've got, Dad's got, are all suppressed.
Yeah. Right.
All of them. So cut down barrels suppressed. That's everyone. That's how the majority of hunters over there run, which is they're great.
Yeah. Right. Yep. So, like, if somebody wanted to go over there, the rifle setup, you would definitely recommend a scope with a lower end magnification range, like even right down probably lower than 3 power, would you say?
No, three would be fine.
Okay.
Three through to 3 to 9 or 3 to 14 or something like that. You wouldn't want to start going over there with your 5 to 25, or unless you're targeting that long range stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of that beech forest is some quite tight, close range shots.
Yeah. Okay. And are there legal caliber restrictions over there like they have in Victoria?
No. So it has to be a centerfire rifle. No 22s or anything like that allowed in the public land hunting. But as long as it's a centerfire rifle, a caliber, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. And did you do much e-scouting and planning beforehand?
Yeah. So of course, when you got the weeks or months before the trip, I enjoy just spending time jumping on Google Earth and kind of looking or dreaming about the different areas you explore. So I've spent a lot of time just going through different areas and just seeing what, if plan A doesn't work, where I can go to plan B, plan C. I spend a lot of time just, checking out areas through Google Earth, and then it's always cool when you actually finally get to go there and compare what your thoughts were and what you find.
Yep. What sort of features were you looking for the Sika?
For me, it's distance to get away from the roads.
Okay. Yep.
So, like I say, that time of the year, there's going to be other hunters that's trying to push further into more remote areas, getting off that beaten track, pushing yourself away. That's more my goal, as well as looking at maybe some of the fringe country, because there's a lot of pine forests and forests around the perimeter.
Yep.
But the main thing for me is just to get away from the main roads.
Yeah.
But in saying that, people, you can spook a deer. Literally, I was spooking deer from a couple of other hunts during that time. Was 150 meters from the road end. So they're right through there.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. All right. I was talking to a bloke the other day who was from the North Island, and he was talking about the army land and them having access to hunting blocks over there. Do you know much about that?
Yes. So on the southern, if you go western side of the Kaimanawas, you've got the army land to the south. So if you look at the desert road, you follow down through the desert road, there's all the army land, and that is also an area that's known for big Sika deer. But once again, you need to have a permit or access to go on to there. So there is a public land access track that runs along the boundary between the army land and the public land. And I know that's a very popular spot for people to head.
Okay.
So
how does one get onto the army blocks?
I think you're either in the army and you actually live or based at Waiouru there, which is the base for the army.
Yep.
I have understood that you can go through a permit process which has to take into account explosives. There's quite a few things you got to tick to be able to get access. I haven't actually personally looked into it,
right.
But there is definitely a way to get on there, but it isn't the easiest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Rightio.
But I have heard there are some pretty good Sika deer down in that army land. So
yeah.
majority of it's big open tussock country up down there.
Okay. Yep. All right. So more the longer shots.
Longer shots. Yeah.
Right. All right. Might be something I need to look into then. Start planning for next year. Yeah. So now tell us a bit about your dad, because you talk about him quite a bit in your hunting.
Yeah, no. So dad's a keen hunter, and it's one of the people I suppose I got into hunting. He grew up on a farm down in Napier, and that's another spot in the North Island. And it's always it's one of the main reasons I love to go back to New Zealand as well, is catch up with the family, and it's always good to get out in the bush with Dad. He loves it. He's keen. He's fit. So it's always good fun to get out with him. So he had a bit of luck this year and shot a few reds. So he was pretty happy, and he likes just exploring new areas as well. So he was pretty stoked, with a big smile on his face when I told him I'd won a flying trip to Tin Kettle. So he loves to get out there and check it out. So.
So the trip you won, then he had to pay additional?
No, it's actually he was all covered. So
really, wow, so that was an awesome price.
He was happy.
Yeah.
So
I also won a hunt with the hunting club.
Yes.
So I got selected for the Chittle Stag hunt.
Yep, nice.
So we've actually booked that for February next
cool.
year.
Yeah, cool.
And a mate of mine, Lawson, who I'm sure you know, is coming with us as well.
Nice.
But he's got to pay. Yeah, that's the only thing. But we've spoken to the outfitter up there a couple of times and talked about throwing in a couple of extra things. But,
nice.
Lawson's pretty keen to film it all as well.
Oh, cool, good,
hopefully produce some content. So.
And with the shittle, my knowledge on shittle's a little bit limited. So February, obviously, the antlers, when do they drop antlers on the shittle?
So...
Or is it variable as like a sandbar? Is that how it works?
Yeah, a little bit. So my understanding is they can sort of breed pretty much any time of the year. So they sort of cycle through. December, January is like more of their rut in inverted commas.
Yeah.
And that's there's some particular reason for that, which I can't remember now. But that's sort of the time when they're generally going to be rutting, but they are kind of can display rutting behaviour any time throughout the year. But there are a few factors like weather comes into it as well. So apparently if they get a reasonable amount of rain and then get a lot of fresh shoot coming through, that then helps to bring the hinds into estrus because they're feeding and healthy and blah, blah, blah. So February is obviously just after the rut, so it should be sort of still well within hard antler and haven't cast then. But anyway, it'll be something different.
Yeah, nice. I suppose just quickly, the Sika, just so everyone's aware. So Sika, like I've already said, that rut period is going to be that April to May. If you're wanting Sika stags, you can hunt them pretty much all year, but of course they're going to drop their antlers around end of October ish. So October through to February, it's either going to be no antlers or growing antler, and then by February, late February, they're starting to strip off. And that's often in February to early March where they'll be up feeding up in the open. But yeah, if you're chasing Sika stags, you definitely don't want to be hunting in New Zealand around that October to January period because they're not going to have any antler for a little bit, and then of course they'll be growing it.
All right. And when do you know when they drop then?
Yeah, around the October, November.
Yeah, right. Okay, so definitely not the best time.
No, so it's pretty hard hunting anyway. And probably from that late Feb is the earliest you want to start targeting them.
Yep. All right. Are there any, if somebody was going to plan a public land hunt, are there any particular features that they should be looking for when determining where to go? Are there thickets of forest or particular gullies or something like that?
No, it's often you can't really get. There is a lot of thicker country in the Commonwealth and Kawikas, so there is some amazing country, but there's also a lot of areas that have had a lot of windfall and are quite tight, which you can't really tell from Google Earth. For the areas to work, it depends on the season and when you want to hunt them. If you want to be hunting them when they're feeding up late Feb or so, then of course you want some open top country. That's going to be easier country to see. Often stags mobbed up in the tops. But if you're going through the rut, it's quite there's so much variation of the country. It's not the easiest one to try and dial down. To be honest, there's deer right through that area. It's more about, I suppose, just getting there and then covering the country.
All right. And other bits of gear that you would recommend, like what about optics, for example?
Yes, so once again, kind of depending on what area. There is a lot of open country where you definitely want some good optics just to spend time glassing. I don't take a spotting scope, that's just my personal preference. It could have been useful in the tin kettle if we'd been seeing deer, which we weren't, but optics-wise, I don't really use binos much with the kind of beach forest hunting, but saying that, a lot of guys do like just sitting back because you're really just looking for that little bit of movement through the beach. So I do have them on my chest harness, at all times, which is sometimes helpful because it's just those real little minute little movements that you're looking for, and it is often nice if you have those binos just to bring up, just to confirm, hey, what's going on here. But yeah, I'm just running some 8.5 by 40 binos, which I use for all my hunts, and they work fine.
Okay. And other bits of gear, like were there any sort of standout things that you'd recommend?
No, to be honest, it's pretty much there. There's nothing out of the ordinary for Sika hunting. You're not going to be extreme it's not extremely steep or there's nothing like that. It's there's nothing. It's pretty much a standard kind of hunting setup, to be honest, and you're going to get away as long as you've got some good quality gear. Just playing for a bit of cold. If it can get very cold in there, but overall, it's relatively just a stock standard hunt.
All right. Very cool. So, what's next on the agenda for you? What are your future hunts?
Well, future things, I've got a 52k run coming up in 3 weeks, so that's my goal at the moment. And then once that's done, I've just bought a new ute, so I'm either going to might take a month off and head down through New South Wales into Victoria, and I want to check out a few state forests on the way down. I'm not sure if it's going to happen yet, but this is just in the planning stages. So, game plan head down, hunt my way down through a few New South State forests, and then give the Sambo a good nudge. Hopefully get to the Wild Deer Expo in Warragul, just outside Warragul, and then drive my way back. So, just trying to see if it's going to work with what's going on at work at the moment, and the missus. So better not push my luck too much, but that's probably the next on the agenda if I can make it happen. So, and then once I've done that trip, I've got a Brisbane Valley trip booked in August. So I'll head into the valley there just to get a little bit of meat. Hopefully shoot a couple of red deer for the freezer and fill that back up. And that's kind of me at the moment. So I'm starting to Google Earth everywhere in Sambo country. So going through planning where I might head. Yep. So
all right. And are you going back to Sika country next year?
Of course. Well, at the moment the plan is I'll head back. The only thing I suppose that would change that if I had any ballot blocks, I put in for a number of ballots over there every year from the Wapiti.
And the tar.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. So depending on where they didn't have any luck this year, so if I had a bit of luck, then that might change it just because the time frame of when those ballot blocks kind of come on, and then the actual Sika rut. So
I'm thinking I pretty much will put in for the Wapiti ballot next year. I don't know about the tar ballots yet. I'm happy to just do them on foot, public land, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, definitely going to have a crack, I reckon, at Field Hunt. Yeah,
it's definitely a podcast in all of its own. It's a pretty wild place down there, and that's a whole different kettle of fish, that one. Sika hunting, like for your general kind of hunter, that's Sika's quite an easy one, but for anyone listening, if you're looking at Wapiti, then that's one that you definitely have to be prepared for, because that's some tough country down there. So but some pretty cool country at the same time.
No, I've been watching a few YouTube vids from people, and spoken to a couple of blokes that have been over there.
Yeah, Jono, actually, my mate had the Edith block this year. They were there first period, and they had got some amazing footage from roaring stags and bugling Wapiti down there. So it's a magical spot.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, obviously everybody needs to keep an eye out on your YouTube channel, subscribe, and get notified when the next video drops.
I need to get into it. Like I say, once this motivation comes back and I'm got a bit more time on my hands, that's the game plan. We'll get that out and you guys can check it out.
Yeah, very good. All right, mate. Well, thanks again, and good luck in the murder race.
A little bit nervous, but we'll see how it goes. Should be good. Yeah. Sucker for punishment, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'll do it while you're young, mate.
Exactly.
While your body lets you.
That's the one.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for listening in. If you'd like to contact me for a chat, pass on any feedback, or have some ideas for future podcasts, please reach out to me on Instagram at Australian_hunting_backcountry, or email australian.hunting.backcountry@outlook.com.au. For now though, please look after yourselves and your mates.